Hey, how's everybody doing today? Well, today we're pretty much going to talk about yesterday's game one between the Nets and the Sixers. I wanted to get a preview out before the game started, but things happened. Things happened with my computer and trying to get everything together, so I wasn't able to do it. So I'm just going to talk about it now, and then combine some things with the pre-game, also with this. But I have to say that the Sixers came out they came out a bit sluggish, you know, but they were able to get things together by mid first quarter. Then that's shown they're going to double Embiid all the time. So that puts pressure on Maxey, Harden, Harris, and the other players, to pretty much make open shots. And I have to say, that's pretty much what the Sixers did. The Sixers made the open shots. Embiid pretty much passed the ball to the other players, and they knocked down the threes. I mean, it was something that I really wasn't expecting. I mean, they really shot well, and the bench played well in the first half. PJ Tucker did a lot in the first half on the offensive boards and turnovers. That really set the tone, and it set the precedent for the rest of the game. Now, I can say the Sixers did struggle with Mikal Bridges in the first half. Brooklyn shot the ball well. They shot the ball well in the first half. At one point they were at 60%. Mikal Bridges had 23 and a half. He ended the game with 30, and I like that the Sixers made adjustments. They weren't allowing him after the pick. Because one thing the Sixers does that really annoys me, especially with Joe will back up. So whoever comes off that pick, they can pretty much have that space because Joe is backing up. So since Joe wasn't backing up, he was coming forward. It pretty much had forced Mikal to pretty much have to play out further, and so put him in. He wasn't in a comfortable spot, so he pretty much passed the ball away. Because he pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, he probably took two shots in the second half. He ended with 30, so the Sixers really shut him down in the second half. The Nets double teamed, and they double teamed, and that's something that they just drilled down on. And it was interesting to see how Joe played that. Because in some situations, he dribbled out of it. Some situations, he was able to see and pass it to the correct man. Now, he might not have gotten the direct assist, but that person passed it to another person, and they pretty much got the hockey assist with that. It was good to see, and I liked it because it kept the ball moving. And when you keep the ball moving, it makes it easier for everybody else, and it makes it better for the other players to get into the flow. Once the other players get into the flow, it makes it that much easier for Joel and Harden to get their points. Joe is going to get his points regardless. If he starts slow, if he starts fast, he's pretty much going to get his points. And Joe's efficient. Even though he wasn't taking a lot of points, taking a lot of shots, he was still getting points. He was getting to line. He ended the game with, Embiid had 26. Harden had 23. Tobias, that was real good that Tobias was able to sit there and get 21. But like Tobias, he gets his points in the first half, and you really don't hear nothing from him in the second half. I hope that's something he can be consistent through the whole game. But if not, that's fine. As long as somebody is able in the second half to be able. Maxey only had 13 points. He really didn't score a lot, and I was a little worried. Maxey has problems with long, athletic wings and guards. That's the reason why Boston gives him a lot of problems. And the one thing about Brooklyn, they can switch. Claxton is pretty good out in space, so they can switch. The problem is, though, they have no answer for Joe. They have no answers for Joe Embiid whatsoever. And another problem is their bench. I was happy that the Sixers bench played pretty well. Paul Reed got 11 off the bench. George Niang was able to hit them open threes, and then there were some times when he drove to the lane. Daniels, I really love to pick up with Daniels. Daniels is a tall wing, a lanky wing. He's able to switch 1 through 4. That's something that the Sixers need, and that's something that would make or break a lot of teams. There are situations where you have players that can either play offense or defense. When you have players that can do both, it makes it easier. That's why the Celtics are so dangerous. That's why Milwaukee is so dangerous. That's why teams in the upper echelon, they have those two-way players where they're not specialized into one thing. For as much as I love PJ Tucker is very limited offensively. With that said, though, if he's knocking down open threes, it makes it easier and it makes it better for everybody else. So it forces teams having to play him. And with them having to play them, that's one less person that's going to be able to double team Joe. It was a good statement. It was something that the Sixers needed. We needed to pretty much put our stamp on this series and sit there and say, look, we have the most talent. We're the best team. You're just going to have to deal with it. It was a nice game to see, and I was happy to see it. And I will hope the rest of the series is like that. I'm not sure, because just as the shots can fall, the shots may not fall. And so we'll see from there. The one thing I can say, I appreciate the way James Harden controls the team. He ran when he had to. He slowed it down when he had to. They really didn't do a lot of pick and roll. They really didn't do a lot of pick and roll this first game. It was pretty much just working off the double team from Brooklyn, and then once Brooklyn double teamed, they passed it around, and they was continually to be aggressive when it came to shooting and driving to the lane. Melton struggled. He struggled this game. And again, even with him struggling, still won comfortably. Because you got Daniels contribute, Paul Reed contribute. So it doesn't put too much on Melton in terms of scoring. I'm just happy the way this game went, and I am very happy, and just to see how the rest of this goes. Now I'm wondering in terms of game 2, once changes are made, Jacque Vaughn already starts complaining to the referees, saying that he's not getting calls and stuff like that. There's a few calls that the refs didn't call that was suspect. Joe getting smacked in the face. A few people were getting smacked in the face. We'll see how it goes in the second game. I'm curious in terms of the adjustments. I'm wondering if Brooklyn is going to double team as much as they did before. The problem with that, though, if they don't double team, Joe is going to kill them one-on-one, and then they're going to just pick and roll you to death. And they pick and roll you to death, and that opens other problems. This is the beauty of the first game of them not knocking down their shots. When you knock down your shots, your open threes, you're pretty much set up. The Sixers shot 50% from 3. They shot 47% from 2. 50% from 3. Whereas the Nets shot at half 60% from 2. I think they ended the game over 50%. They weren't making a lot of threes. I know it's under 50% in terms of the threes they were making. So it turned into a 3 versus 2 battle. And if we're making threes and they're making twos, it's pretty much the game. You're going to get the score. You're going to get the score of what we seen yesterday, a 20-point score. So I'm curious to seeing how this goes in the second game, seeing the adjustments, seeing how Doc adjusts from the adjustments Jacque Vaughn does, see how the players continue to play, see whether or not Tobias stays aggressive. And the most important thing, will Joel Embiid continue in terms of when he's double teamed to pass the ball, to get other people in the game, and also pass the ball so then he can move to another spot and get the ball, and then maybe in a situation where it's easier to either score or draw a foul. Thank you again for listening. If you like what you're listening to, subscribe, leave a comment. It would be nice to sit and have a conversation and see how this goes, and just pretty much look at it game to game, and we'll go from there. All right, y'all enjoy your day. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow after the game 2. Bye.